Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coach's Corner. Hi. Hi, everybody.
Yay!
We have all four of us here today. It's amazing. And I'm grateful to share this wonderful knowledge with my amazing colleagues. And, we're all in different places in the world. And, it was just Lou and I last weekend. If you missed that one, just watch that replay because there was so much value there. And always happy and grateful to share this knowledge. And of course, if you've been watching Coach's Corner for a while now, make sure you just reach out to us if you have any questions, what we're sharing. I know it can seem like a lot. Don't be afraid to chat with us. We love talking about it, but most importantly, we love helping you with this material. So, you know, this Coach's Corner, we're diving into, well, we'll see based on how everything flows. But, we have three universal laws that we'll, share and we'll talk about that you're a part of and it's a part of you. So why not understand them? Why not? You might learn something today or might feel something today. So my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach. I'm based in Maryland, and I'm the founder of Believe in the Unseen and trained by the late, great legend, Bob Proctor. And founder of, are you going to echo? I thought I
Oh,
heard
I
that.
got a little bit.
Maybe that's the spirits of the universal law, like really helping me out here. But basically, I help hardworking but unfulfilled professionals who know they're capable of more, yet feel stuck in a cycle of effort without progress, and lacking clarity, direction, and the subconscious programming needed to create the income and freedom and life they truly desire. So it's all about believing in that goal, believing that it's there for you and you can achieve it. And I'm here to guide. So, and also here to share this beautiful knowledge with my awesome colleagues. So I'll pass it to Paul.
Oh, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you're watching this from. And if you're watching on the replay, welcome. My name is Paul Wooters. I am a success mindset coach, also mentored by Bob Proctor. And I'm also the head of the Learning and Leadership Development Department at the World Life Education Center. And I help individuals really unlock their true potential, help them design their life by design, with intention, by helping them understand how your mind really works and to really take control, not to be controlled by the outer circumstances, by really working from the inside out. And as I said, help you design your life with intention and to help you really realize the goals and the dreams that you have set for yourself that are worthy of you, and to help you see through that and to help you progress and to move towards the life that you really want and deserve. And I'm going to pass it on to my friend Lou Perica.
Thank you, Paul. So good to have you back. And Alicia, as Jamel said, it was just the two of us last week, but I think we still did an awesome job. Anyways, everyone, thank you for being here. My name is Lou Perica. I am the founder of Prosperous Results. I am a success mindset mentor and speaker. And I work with growth-minded women who just have that pull for something more in their life, whether it's more success, more fulfillment, or more alignment. But something just isn't fully clicking, and they're doing all the right things on the outside, but still not seeing the results that they want. And that can be very frustrating and very confusing. And so, what I do is I help them understand what's actually driving their current results, how their thoughts, their interpretations, their feelings, and their patterns are influencing everything. Because once you start to see that, things start to shift in a very real and lasting way. And I'm very excited to be talking about these universal laws because it just brings awareness and attention. And it's very empowering when you know that you operate within these laws. So when you know that these laws do exist, they're unchangeable, they're immutable. What you need to do, what we need to do, is learn how to operate within them. Alicia.
Thank you. And I want just to respond to somebody asking Polytopic 101 if it's live. This is live. Yes. So, yeah, my name is Alicia Espinosa. I am based in Sweden, and I am a values and mindset coach. I help leaders to be a leader worth following, and I also help people that have everything in life but still feel very empty on the inside. So to create a life that feels good on the inside, not just looks good from the outside, that is aligned with their value, their life intentions is aligned with their values. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alicia. Oh, wow. Universal laws, laws that dictate our being. Are we ready to dive in today?
Absolutely.
So,
I love it. And hello to everybody that's live. Hi. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Palmer Russell and Quinn Freeman. Hello. Thanks for joining us. And oh geez. Let's there we go. So thank you for joining us. And am I able to do a shameless plug right at the beginning here?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Today, I've been doing the live challenge online, and today marks the 7th day and the final day of me being on camera, sharing right here on the YouTube channel that I'm broadcasting. So I just want to thank everyone that has tuned in and everyone that has been showing support, including my colleagues here as well as always, but also a lot of people that I met, through this live challenge. So we discussed a lot of things. Today is the last day. They're coming down tomorrow, so make sure you watch all the replays right here on this channel. And of course, if I forgot I did this on camera yesterday, but of course, if you want to, partake in all the replays and everything that was sent out, make sure here's the QR code. Take a quick snap of that. If you're on like a desktop, just use your phone and you'll be able to just sign up at the last minute. But every minute counts, all right? We'll get into that here. So thank you to my colleagues for allowing me to just share that at the top here. So, wow, universal laws. Let's start with the law of rhythm, everyone. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, speaking of rhythm, who likes music?
right in your depth.
Music is interesting, because it obviously it has rhythm, right? Within it and multi layers of rhythm. There's melodies and harmony. And what's interesting? There's pauses too, and that's part of rhythm as well. And we hear pauses and feel pauses subconsciously, but you don't know it consciously sometimes that it's there. Having a music background, I know music very deeply. So the law of rhythm states that everything has a natural cycle. The tide goes in and back out, and night follows day, and life regenerates itself as well. We all have good times and bad times, but nothing stays the same. Change is constant. And when I hear tide goes in and back out, it reminds me a lot of this. There was a monk that I was following for meditation. He says life is like a wave in the ocean, and every wave is very unique. Not one, two waves are the same, but they're temporary, right? And they come out and they dance and have their expression, and then they fade back into the ocean and go right back in. And that reminds me a lot, not only of life, but also the law of rhythm. As it goes out, it comes back in, goes back in. So change is constant. It never stops changing. And that's the beauty of it. It can be a frightening thing, when people operate from a base of fear, but it also can allow you to be more present in that moment, knowing that that moment will never be the same. So anybody want to kind of jump on that? I'll just kind of pass it on here.
Sure. So as Jamel said, this law of rhythm states that everything moves in cycles. So there is this natural ebb and flow in all areas of life, right? So growth and rest, highs and lows, expansion and contraction, and realize that nothing stays at its peak and nothing stays at its low. So the rhythm, because rhythm is constant. So results will fluctuate. Even motivation comes and goes. Emotions rise and fall. But I think really important, maybe most importantly, it explains why people often misinterpret temporary dips as permanent failures, right? So we have to realize that a setback is not the end. It's just merely part of the cycle. And even a high point, it's not permanent. It requires maintenance and even awareness. We speak about that all the time. And so the goal here isn't to eliminate the rhythm, it's just to develop a stability within it. So it's about, I think, neutralization. You can't stop the swing of the pendulum, but you can reduce how far it controls you. Lou?
Let me jump in there real quick. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate that comment there.
Hey, Phil.
Hi, Phil. I love it. What a beautiful gift sharing, powerful insights. I love it. Thanks for stopping by and your support.
Hey, Phil. So yeah, and the funny thing is that as we've been discussing these laws, I've been hearing other groups now talking about the universal laws because they're so important. But what I wanted to mention with the, the law of rhythm, just like my colleague says, it's the ebb and flow of life. And this is one of the laws that sometimes I just have to really take a deep breath and pause, because we can get caught up in our own cycle and kind of blame ourselves. Why isn't this happening? Am I not doing enough? Am I too slow? Am I this? Am I that? And we are reminded about the law of rhythm in our physical world when we see the seasons change, when we see the sun come up and go down, when we see the tides go in and out. This, for me, is just reassurance that everything has a rhythm. Life has a rhythm. And just like with economic growth, so people typically will panic during a recession or a downturn, but that's part of the rhythm as well. There's always economic growth. There's always a recession. And then there's always a recovery. So, but when we do it personally, when we think about our own life and the law of rhythm, it can be, I want to say challenge, but as you know, I'm looking to change that word into an invitation. And the invitation asks, can I stay steady when life feels really high? And can I feel steady or stay steady when life feels really low? Because we all experience it. And again, it's an invitation. I like to think of it as an invitation to stay steady. Enjoy the high, enjoy it, because that's why it's there. Enjoy it. But don't get so caught up in it that when the when the flow starts to shift, that you think you've done something wrong, or life is coming at you. It's a time to take a deep breath and pause. do the best that you always can. This is a reminder for me when I feel like, oh, I should be doing more, I should be doing more. And then there's that, you have that inner voice and that feeling, and then you have the outside world telling you, but always listen to that inner voice, the true voice, not the noisy roommate, but the true voice that says, steady, calm and steady. Just go calm and steady. And that's what the law of rhythm means to me. Again, it's just a reminder to take a deep breath when I feel that it's kind of like a roller coaster. And I only need to look outside. I look at the trees, I look at the birds, I look at the ocean and realize there is a pattern to life. And it also includes us individually as well. Alicia.
Yeah, I'm writing a word that I don't want to. to uh, yeah, you say an invitation, and it got to me think me about a dance. For example, tango. It's like these two people dancing in the same wave, you know. And for me, this law is about an invitation to learn how to dance with life, with all the different changes in life, and about because it's like a season, and we are part of the nature, and nature you have the different seasons. At least in Sweden, we have the spring at the moment here in where I live, and it will come a summer, and then autumn, and then a winter. And because we are part of that, we also have in our life all those 4 seasons. So sometimes everything feels like a spring. Everything's beautiful. We're in love with everything. And then it comes a summer that you are enjoying everything. And then started the autumn that you start to feel uncomfortable some things. And then the winter, nothing is growing, nothing is coming out. And it's that for us also. And it's important not to make decision from a low season. So not making decision when we are in an ice time, I call them, when you don't think that this will never be uh, resolved. I will ever in my life will be here in the same problem, and so not quit when you are in a low season. It's not making decision that you will regret later. It's more like, okay, what is trying to emerge here? What is growing inside that I cannot see that? So all the time thinking about that, because we think that, okay, sometimes we are like high 2 weeks and everything is going well, and then something happened, and then you want to quit because you think that you need to quit. No, you need to be steady, as you say, Lou, or steady and wait and continue on asking what is trying to emerge here, what is growing, what roots are growing that I cannot see anything here at the moment. So that is there. And also to know that you are not your feelings and emotions, because if you think that you are your feelings and emotion, then you will have a roller coaster in your life. So it's better like, I'm feeling this, what trying to emerge, or what is this feeling telling me, what I need to know, what I am trying to not to or assuming that I don't know, all this is like be very clear and question your thoughts, question your why you are letting these feelings take over. You are not your feelings. You are having a feeling there.
Wow, this is so good. That's great, Alicia. You know, it reminds me a lot of the stick person, right? Uh, this guy right here. You know, just seeing that, not letting the outside world shape the inside, right?
Mm.
And we see how they're connected, right? They really are. In your conscious mind, you can reject thoughts or let go of thoughts that don't serve you, and you can also put thoughts there, like visualization or a goal or whatever it is you want to create. So it's inductive and deductive, your conscious mind. But, and we'll get into the law of gender, the subconscious is just deductive. So it just receives. So with the law of rhythm, if things aren't really going well for you right now, or you're in a dark space, or you're just kind of lost right now, or even stagnant, right? Or comfortable. Because when you're in the comfort zone, there's not, you're not creating, you're disintegrating. So just know that this too shall pass, right? It's great wisdom about life's ebb and flow, because as night follows day, and this is just a chapter. And what I would say is, when you're on a downswing, just know that things will get better. And to speed that process, since we are all creators here, put here to create, think of the good times that are coming. And what is that when you think of good times? That's inductive reasoning. You're putting a thought in your conscious mind, and obviously you'll start feeling better. Feelings follow thoughts. It's really that simple, because the more good thoughts you can think about, the better you will feel. And the better you feel, feeling is basically a word that explains your conscious awareness of your vibrational state. So this is how all these universal laws are connected, right? Knowing that this shall pass. Knowing, especially if it's negative, is faith. And this is where understanding and abundance compared to lack and ignorance, simply not knowing. So the more you know about these universal laws and you're aware of what you're doing, you choose faith every time. And they both believe, faith and fear believe, demand you to believe in something you can't see. So why keep choosing something you don't want? And not only that, at least being aware of it, right? So know that this moment is always temporary, whether good or bad, right? Whether good or bad, that moment is temporary. And what's special about it, there's always good in every moment. So you have to look for it, you have to see it. And the more you do that, even your own being gets used to seeing it. You grow as a person. And I didn't know that until I started to apply it, and not just keep it in my conscious mind, but now my being knows it on a molecular level. You have to understand these laws, because they will shape your entire life, whether you care or not. They're very powerful and elegant at the same time, and it's all happens effortless. It really does. And I'll pass it on there.
Yeah, thank you, Jamel. I just want to add a little bit to that. It's so true what you said. And I just wanted to say, when you think of high performers, they don't avoid the lows. They have the lows too. But a high performer will stay anchored while everything else is moving. So that requires emotional discipline. And that's becomes really important, more than emotional intensity. Sometimes you think, okay, well, I'm just going to try harder. But it's really about your discipline, emotional discipline. And also that consistency. It's about consistency, and that often beats these bursts of motivation. Some people are motivated, temporarily, and then have these short bursts. But it's about being consistent in the actions that you're taking, and to really, as we're talking about here, really become aware of these cycles, and if you're aware of the cycles, then that will help you prevent the overreaction. So, the difference between someone who quits and someone who is successful is often just how they interpret that dip, right? So the law of rhythm is about, sustainability, explains why progress isn't linear and how to really stay steady through it. So most people stop, and it isn't because they lack ability, it's because they don't understand the cycle. They'll hit a low point and they'll assume just something is wrong, and then they'll quit. But in reality, they're just right in the middle, of some type of rhythm. So you have to understand, and we're trying to help you be aware here that, you have to, in order to work with the laws, you have to really be aware of them so that you can work with them and not just react to them. Lou.
Thank you. So I was thinking about what Alicia brought up, the seasons. And when we think about our seasons, they're roughly 3 months each. And within each season, like when spring comes, we start to see the seeds surface. But like what Alicia was saying, in the wintertime, everything seems to be dark and cold. But that's where the growth is happening. That's where the seed is taking root. But it needs these seasons, this gestation period, if you will, in order for that seed to bloom. So it's the same thing with us, but I think with us we get so caught up in time and why isn't something happening now, and we forget that something great really happened maybe a month ago or 2 weeks ago or maybe 20 minutes ago. But knowing and understanding the laws, this again, as Paul mentioned about awareness, and the awareness keeps us from making fearful decisions within temporary moments. And again, that's why I say sometimes I just have to take a deep breath and just steady myself, because sometimes I can get caught up in the highs and the lows, not nearly as much as I used to, but I still experience it because I understand it's the human experience. But I also understand that I am a creator. I also understand that these laws exist, but I can create within the laws. That's why we're the highest form of creation. That's why we are bringing these laws to everyone's attention to grow your awareness. That's why Coach's Corner exists. And we've been going, I don't know, maybe 2 years, coming up on 2 years or something. But all of these laws, all of the discussions that we have is to bring awareness so you can make better decisions, knowing that you are a creator, knowing that these laws exist, knowing that there'll be highs and lows, but not to overreact, but to be steady along your path. Alicia.
I was thinking about what you take about creating, and we are always creating. Even if we are not conscious about that, we're always creating. And, I was walking today and in the forest, and we have a very windy at the moment. It's, storm is coming. So many trees have fallen. And when I was watching those trees that have fallen, they have very shallow roots. And that made me think that, it always will come storms in our lives, and if the roots are not deep, we will fall. So we need to work on having this steady, uh, focus in how can I get there. And I also remember, I think that is called equanimity in English, and is I love going to Vipassana meditation. It is 10 days. You go to Vipassana meditation. You don't speak with anybody. You even don't see their eyes, the people there. So it's a silence meditation retreat. And what we learned on that meditation is equanimity, because you need to sit down in lotus, position, and without moving, and scanning your body and feeling the sensations in your body. And here is like you don't hate the sensations that are hard, that is pain, and you don't love the other sensations that are feels good. Just is equanimity, just is. And it say that nothing will stay as it is. It will change all the time. So it's why it's like you are sitting there and you're having pain in your legs or something, like it's like equanimity, nothing, it will move away. Just not focus on that. And this is the problem, that sometimes when we have challenge in our life, we are always focusing there, always focusing there. So, and we are not questioning what are the thoughts that we have, or what is the feelings that we have that are creating that situation. And this is that we need to be more like taking time to just reflection, sit down and reflect. What sometimes I don't know what it is, but then I write, I doodle a person, a doodle, and I, okay, I don't know what I feel, but I feel this in my ear, and then okay, that's good to doodle that, and feel like, oh, so in order to be like that, what are my thoughts telling me? And then I start to think, okay, I need to think about this, about this. Oh, is that those thoughts helping me? No. So what can I do to move forward? Not people try to avoid feelings, but feelings are telling us something. That is the wisdom of the body telling us something. I know, for example, that when I am very, very angry, it's because one of my values are not respected. And sometimes it's like I am like a bear in the, in the forest, like, "Argh!" So is that, so be more aware of what are the feelings and emotions I'm telling you, even unconscious. Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in quickly because you said equanimity, and I remember Bob had recommended that we write the Serenity chapter from
Yeah.
As a Man Thinketh for 30 days.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that. And it's a great, great exercise. So if you're watching this, As a Man Thinketh, it's a little teeny tiny book. And one of the chapters is called Serenity. And it's so powerful, but we would write it for 30 days. And it does, through that process, writing and reading and understanding what you are writing, I think that helped me tremendously as well.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw that out there. Sorry about that, Jamel.
No apology needed. This is so good. Let intuition flow through. And I'm glad you brought that up. It was so needed.
Mm.
That was beautiful, Alicia, about feelings. right? We went through the book, Feeling is the Secret. And that book alone by Neville Goddard talks a lot about feelings. And feelings are the language of the soul, you know? So if you're not paying attention to how you feel, guess what? You're like living empty almost because you're not aware of what you're creating. And feelings, they speak without words, but you feel it. And the more you're aware of your feelings, the more you can manage them. You manage your vibrational state. And I was just talking about attitude last night. Your attitude is the law of vibration. It's what you're sending out. So feelings are so important. You have to be aware of them. So did y'all want to move on to the law of gender? Is this a good
Yeah,
time?
sure. Why don't we'll start that anyways. Yeah.
Okay. So the universal law of gender, right? We're diving into another one. And we can obviously talk, you know, forever about the law of rhythm, all these laws, right? So the law of gender states that everything in the universe contains both masculine and feminine energies. And I know Lou's getting excited. So, and speaking of energy, I was waiting for a prop from Alicia when she was explaining those. I don't know if I was the only one feeling that when you were saying, I feel like this. I was like, what kind of prop would that be? But, you know, the universal law of gender states that everything in the universe contains both masculine and feminine energies. Okay. So, which must be balanced to manifest desires and to create. So basically, it represents the yin and yang principle, right? So where the feminine seed or the idea or nurturing is fertilized by the masculine, like pollen, right? The action, the drive. So this law emphasizes internal balance, basically, internal balance, rather than some may think, you know, physical sex. It's internal balance. That's the law of gender, right? So it's basically being in harmony, right? And when I was talking about planting your dream here or whatever it is you want that you desire, you're thinking about it. So that's inductive reasoning. So you're thinking about it, right? You're planting it there. And this is when, you know, you visualize and you're not letting anything outside of you. You're putting that dream there, right? And guess what's receiving it the more you think about it in your conscious, your subconscious, right? So that's the nurturing, right? So, and that's they also call the subconscious the garden. Some refer as the womb, you know, because it's giving birth to what you're emotionally involved with. And the body, takes the action, right? But also it vibrates a signal. So key aspects of the law of gender: internal balance. This is being in harmony with whatever it is that you want and you're creating. You know, like I mentioned, all individuals possess both energies, believe it or not. I'm wearing purple today. Some may say this is not a masculine color, but you know, I actually heard this is a royalty color, but my daughter said, wear purple today. You know, so I was like, why not?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you. So all individuals possess both energies, regardless of physical gender, okay, and require balance of both to thrive and avoid like burnout and stagnation and stuff like that, you know. So the feminine energy conceives ideas and nurtures them, while the masculine energy takes action and drives them. You know, it kind of follows through with what the woman says almost. This is funny because we can get very comical here. So the point is we all have these energies and they work together to create what you want.
Yeah, I'll add to that. As Jamel said, there's the law, you know, everything has two complementary forces, and they have to cooperate for anything new to come into form. So this law explains why, ideas alone don't produce results. And similarly, or action alone doesn't guarantee success. So Jamel was explaining there's that there's a feminine side and a masculine side. So the feminine side is the reception. So that's like the subconscious, and that's the ability to become still and aware and open to receive the ideas, or to receive that vision. And the gestation period is also the feminine side, because that's nurturing that idea. We talked about it earlier, about nurturing that seed and nurturing it internally, and giving it emotional meaning, and belief. And then when you express the idea, that's the masculine part, where it's organizing, it's structuring, and it's executing the idea into the physical form. But a lot of people interrupt that cycle. They rush to action before the idea is clear. And Alicia was talking about foundation. So when you do that, when you rush to action before the idea is clear, then you just have a weak foundation. Or other people might stay in the idea state and without taking any action, right? There's no execution of the idea. There's no output. And that means that clarity is the feminine process, and that requires reflection and imagination. And the execution part is the masculine process, which requires decision and structure and discipline. And the real mastery of that comes in the ability to move between the two. So burnout, for example, comes from overuse of constant doing and no renewal. And stagnation comes from the overuse of constant overthinking, but not taking any action to it. So just like in nature, there's a season. There's a season for planting the idea, and there's a season for nurturing, developing the idea, and then there's a season for harvesting the results. From one phase, but not forcing the one phase to disrupt that outcome. So results don't come from just your effort. They come from the right balance between the vision and the execution, and trying to do that at the right time. Lou.
Well, I'm going to pass it over to Alicia, because I know we have to hop off at 11. Do we have enough time, Jamel? I think we have 5 more minutes. So, Alicia, why don't you?
No, go ahead, and we
Okay.
finish.
So one of the important things to realize, and to really, really realize this, is that we are triune beings, meaning we are spirit, we have an intellect, and we live in a physical body. So we're spirit, we have an intellect, and we have a physical body. So the reason that we bring up all these things that you typically don't talk about or typically haven't been taught, because we typically just focus on one thing or the other. But in order for something to really work, we must really be open to the idea that we are a triune being. So part of this with the law of gender, as Jamel was mentioning, the conscious thinking mind is, as far as Neville Goddard is concerned, is referred to as the masculine part. The subconscious is the female, right? So the masculine creates the ideas, impregnates, if you will, the idea, or plants the idea, the seed, into the womb of creation, as Jamel was mentioning. And then the physical body takes action to produce this idea that has no one can see it. It's invisible, it's non-physical. That non-physical idea goes through this masculine and female energies, and it crystallizes into physical form. But we need the body, the ability to speak, to hear, to communicate with others, to feel their energy in order to take that idea to bring it into physical form. But many times we lean too much, as Paul was mentioning, into the masculine energy of the do, the push, the force, the control. Let's make it happen. And then sometimes we lean too much into the feminine, which is waiting, hoping, right? Thinking, feeling, but not taking action. And life responds best when there's a balance with the force, if you will, and the flow working together. It's almost like a battery, right? You have the negative and you have the positive. Neither one works without the other. You need both. But this is our human experience. We are actually creating, we're experimenting, and we're seeing results. So depending on what your results are in life, and if you're happy with them or you prefer something different, I think it was Jamel was talking about when it's tough, when life is really, really tough. Think of that as a message being sent to you. Just consider it. If this is what I don't want, take what you are experiencing that you do not want, use it to your advantage to get clarity on what you do want. So take advantage of the things that you are experiencing, and you get to choose. But it's part of using both of your energies, both your masculine and feminine energies together. So Alicia, I'll pass it on to you now.
Yeah, I was thinking about, we talk about that we are always creating. And for me, I feel that when I'm get frustrated, it's because I am too much in the masculine part of me, that the clarity and the vision, and so to get this balance between those is very important. And also I believe that at because I always ask myself what seed am I planting. And if we connect to the law of rhythm, so when we are in our law, so maybe we're planting seeds that are not so good, and then the feminine part of the or us will try to fix to so that will grow, but maybe it's not what we need, and then we get frustrated because we don't get what we really want. So I feel that having this, what I'm planting and how I'm nurturing it is nurturing from fear or from stress or something like that. Is very important to know how we are handling that. So and I believe that we need to be humble in what we do, because of the law of rhythm and the law of gender, what we are creating. And one thing that I think is that people sometimes are confused about this law, because they think that is women is like that and men is like that. And no, it's not about that. It's about the yin yang. We have that also, and it's inside in us all. But sometimes we suppress that, and when we suppress one of the other, it create frustration.
I like this. This is good. It reminds me a lot. Here, let's we haven't did this all show, so this is really good. It reminds me a lot of being in harmony, right?
Mhm.
So, and also praxis, which is the integration of belief with behavior. So, for one, the masculine side, if you're just taking action without the nourishment, you're it's kind of like you're using a blunt object, right? You're just you're doing all this action, but you're not in harmony with the essence of who you are, the feminine side of it. So that balance is so important to creation. And like Alicia mentioned, some of us can take so much action without the belief and totally neglect the feminine side, if you will, the subconscious side. And like all of us said, vice versa, where you're just visualizing, you're watching Coach's Corner, but you never took action to contact one of us. You've been watching for 2 years, whatever, right? So the point is, that's out of harmony, right? You're unaligned. You're not in alignment. So they both work together perfectly. And it's always essential to have that balance. Because I admit, it was all action for me. And I was forgetting the other side, the feminine side, the subconscious, the feeling, integration of belief. So, and I know we have a few minutes left. Everything created, and we'll talk about this in the next law in great detail on our next Coach's Corner. But just to let you know, everything's created has like a gestation period to move from thought to physical form. And we'll get, really in depth on the next Coach's Corner on that last, not the last universal law, but another big one. And my apologies for, starting late today. I'll say that on camera. It's my fault. I'll take responsibility there. So beyond, like I mentioned, the law of gender, this law relates to mental and spiritual energies present in everyone, right? You have mental and spiritual energy, not just biological sex roles, right? You have mental and spiritual. And it's interesting, everything's created twice, once in the unseen and then in the seen. So when you start creating these dreams in your mind, you're tapping into spirit, universal subconscious, universal intelligence. And all the books we've been covering, Coach's Corner, they all talk about this. Study it everywhere. They all relate to something, either energy or spirit, science or theology. There's two different ways to explain the same thing. So, and we all have these abilities, right? So know that it's present and know that you have the ability to create with it. So we can kind of wrap up here. Anybody have any announcements or add on to that? And we can kind of wrap up.
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good, but I want to say that if we look at the law of rhythm, so during the high periods, take or build, create, take action, and save energy and resources. And when you are in the low periods, rest, learn, simplify, reflect, and maintain the basic. That is very good for you. Yeah.
And
Paul,
Paul,
you good?
I'm good. Yeah, I'll just say change doesn't start with action. It starts with a shift in your state. And when the state changes, the actions will follow naturally.
I love that. That's amazing.
I want to say something again. Never judge your whole life from one season.
Mhm.
Oh, I love that too. You see all this value you're getting? And if you want that value to continue, make sure you reach out to one of us. It doesn't matter who it is, whoever you resonate with, we're here to serve, to help you with this material. We all have different journeys, and our journeys brought us together, and it's one thing to understand this, but it's another to apply it at a higher level, to create with it. And speaking of creating, this is my final day of our live challenge, Create Your Own Reality. It's been an amazing ride. I'm so blessed and grateful to meet so many people. So in the comments there, if you want to join us on the last day, I dropped the link to sign up. It's free, it's online, and we're having a call tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I would love to have you. And you know what? If my colleagues are available, it might be late for them. They can hop on too. We're talking about the self-image. So I'm sure they, can relate to that, and everyone should be able to.
Sure.
So thanks for joining us today on Coach's
Thank you,
Motive.
everyone.
See you next time.
Bye.